There is a level of discipline so relentless, it actually makes average men deeply uncomfortable. And if we're being honest, you're probably one of them right now. You set the alarms, you make the promises, but by Wednesday, you're negotiating with your own weakness again. Centuries ago, the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi mastered a terrifying state of consistency to permanently kill this exact cycle. He called it Fudoshin, the immovable spirit. Today, you're going to learn the exact 72-hour protocol to forge that inside yourself. But be warned, wielding this requires you to completely destroy the excuse-making version of who you are right now. But simply wanting to change is where the trap begins, because your brain has a built-in defense mechanism that defaults to comfort by day 14. To see exactly how this hidden enemy operates, let me tell you about Marcus. Before we break down this blueprint, hit the subscribe button and tell me down in the comments which habit you're currently struggling to build. That small action proves you're actually serious about doing the work instead of just watching another video. Stick with me until the very end, because the final piece of this puzzle is what actually rewires your brain permanently. Let's look at Marcus. To the outside world, he was an elite software engineer pulling 6 figures, the definition of success. But behind closed doors, his discipline was completely hollow. For years, he was trapped in a predictable, humiliating loop. On Mondays, he would launch a new routine with aggressive, blinding motivation. By Wednesday, his brain would craft the first subtle, logical negotiation, whispering that he was too tired, that he deserved a break. By Friday night, the surrender was absolute, and Sunday was spent nursing empty promises about how next week would be different. He tried every weapon modern society sells you: tracking apps, expensive planners, and loud alarms, but none of it stuck. Marcus didn't realize he wasn't fighting laziness. He was fighting the very evolutionary wiring of the human brain. His endless cycle of failure only shattered when he uncovered a psychological protocol used deep inside ancient Zen temples. For centuries, a heavy brass bell has echoed through these courtyards at exactly 3:30 every single morning. And for centuries, without a single exception, the monks rise. Not at 3:35, but exactly on time. There is no internal dialogue, no mental debate. Why? Because a prominent neuroscientist from Harvard University spent 15 years studying this exact state of mind and uncovered a terrifying evolutionary law. Your brain categorizes actions into 2 strict boxes: reversible choices and irreversible identity. Reversible choices breed lethal negotiation. But when you lock in an irreversible action publicly, your primitive brain interprets failure as an immediate threat to your physical survival. In the ancient world, an ancestor who lost status in the tribe was cast out to die. Your modern brain still runs on that exact survival software. Most modern men are completely terrified of it. In fact, it forces a biological shift that bypasses willpower entirely, but it requires you to exploit a psychological loophole most people don't know exists. Deep inside hidden temples, there is a rule that alters the human mind permanently. Marcus deployed this survival software. He posted a brutal, unyielding 90-day public declaration online. His co-workers laughed. His girlfriend called him overly dramatic. But by day 3, the real war began. The social pressure forced his eyes open at 5 in the morning, but his biological body was screaming in agony, completely rejecting the process. Marcus had solved the social pressure, but he was about to hit a hidden biological wall that destroys 90% of routines unless you apply the master's second secret. Even with social pressure locking him in, Marcus found that his physical body was waging a brutal war. This is where he uncovered the second hidden principle of the masters: non-negotiable timing. Every single morning, average people burn massive amounts of cognitive glucose asking themselves the same stupid question: should I do this now or after breakfast? That tiny, insignificant decision drains the exact mental fuel required to execute the heavy work. Musashi taught that in true strategy, your spiritual bearing must never deviate from your everyday bearing. You must eliminate all hesitation and strike with a totally clear mind. Marcus chose 5 a.m., not because he loved the sunrise, but because the world was dead silent. No texts, no emails, no excuses. He didn't optimize his time. he eliminated his choices. The first week was absolute, biological torture. His stubborn body fought the new structure. This is a natural response because biology resists forced adaptation. But by the second week, a physiological shift occurred. He began waking up 2 minutes before his alarm sounded. His internal clock was silently bracing for impact. By day 14, his feet would hit the cold floor before his conscious mind. Even registered the morning. Time was no longer a variable. But his clever mind immediately engineered a new dangerous loophole. And this is where his mind engineered an invisible loophole. One that makes you feel productive while actually killing your consistency. He stopped arguing about when to start, but he began fiercely debating what to do. One day push-ups, the E. Next day reading, the next day meditation. This is where most consistency goes to die. Every time you introduce variety, you force your brain to make micro-decisions. These tiny choices act like microscopic cracks in a massive dam, allowing your old lazy identity to leak back in. To smash this trap, Marcus initiated a strict 72-hour protocol of total restriction, 20 push-ups, 10 minutes of deep breathing, 10 pages of philosophy, the exact same order, the exact same timer, every single morning. He learned that doing the work and getting better in silence was far superior to seeking constant variety. His friends called him robotic. His girlfriend found it annoying. They didn't understand that becoming a biological reflex was the entire point. During the third week, his mind waged an absolute war. His internal voice screamed for something, knew and begged for different exercises so he wouldn't burn out. But he held the line. By the fourth week, something profound shattered inside his brain. It wasn't his discipline that broke, but his old need for comfort. The voice of mental negotiation grew entirely silent. An elite researcher at MIT discovered that when you repeat an exact action in the identical context for roughly 66 days, the basal ganglia takes full control. You are no longer using willpower. You are simply moving. By day 30, Marcus was coasting. The routine was practically doing itself. But then the universe threw a massive wrench into his flawless system. On day 35, a severe fever hit him. On day 40, an emergency work trip forced him onto a chaotic red-eye flight. His perfect environment was instantly destroyed. The old Marcus would have used these valid excuses to quit entirely. When your perfectly structured world completely collapses, how do you prevent your old, weak, and lazy identity from rapidly reclaiming total control? There is a precise mental framework that transforms your routine from a brittle structure into an unstoppable force, even during a crisis. The all-or-nothing mentality has destroyed more dreams than sheer laziness ever will. Average people always lie to themselves. They think if they can't meditate for the full 20 minutes or hit the gym for an hour, they should just skip it entirely. They'll just start again tomorrow. This toxic thinking creates dangerous gaps, and within those tiny gaps, your old, lazy identity crawls right back into the driver's seat. Miyamoto Musashi taught the profound wisdom of water. In his writings, he explained that water shapes itself to the vessel, but its fundamental nature remains completely unchanged. It flows continuously, whether as a raging river or a quiet stream. The moment a river stops flowing, it becomes a stagnant puddle. Your discipline operates on the exact same principle. The absolute moment you create a gap, you're no longer a disciplined person, you're simply someone who used to practice. If you've ever let a single busy day destroy months of hard work, drop a comment 2 below so I know I'm not alone. On day 40, Marcus was navigating a chaotic airport at 4 in the morning. His perfect routine was shattered, but his commitment was immovable. Instead of skipping his habits, he adapted like water. He did his 20 push-ups quietly inside a cramped airport bathroom. People gave him strange looks, but he didn't care. He closed his eyes and meditated in the back of a speeding cab. He read his 10 pages on the loud airplane. The conditions were absolutely terrible and the execution was far from perfect. But perfection was never the goal. The goal was continuous momentum. This unbroken chain is the true essence of extreme discipline. Soon, his co-workers began to notice a physical shift in his presence. Friends claimed he was becoming too obsessive. One relative even suggested his intense dedication was becoming unhealthy and that normal people don't act this way. When society tells you that your habits are unhealthy, you know you're finally on the right path. Normal people get average results and you're trying to become completely unbreakable. Marcus had successfully defeated time, variety, and the illusion of perfection. But true discipline isn't just about adapting to a busy travel schedule. What happens when a genuine, unexpected crisis hits and the random daily obstacles become so severe that your very own sheer willpower fails you completely? The secret isn't stronger willpower. It's an automated defense system used by ancient structures to survive literal disasters without a single meeting. Your vehicle breaks down. On the highway, your manager forces you to stay late at the office. These unexpected emergencies are the ultimate consistency killers because you haven't pre-decided exactly how to handle them. Every single time a random obstacle suddenly appears, you're forced to make a stressful choice. In that specific moment of absolute chaos, you'll always choose the path of least resistance. The obstacle wins because you're fighting a brutal battle that you completely failed to prepare for. Musashi taught that the warrior must perceive those things which cannot be seen. You must anticipate the shifting battlefield before the first strike is ever thrown. Ancient monasteries have survived earthquakes, famines, and devastating wars without missing a single morning session. How do they achieve this impossible feat? They never make new decisions when massive disasters strike. The exact answer already exists. If the main training hall floods, they simply move to the dining room. If a fire breaks out, they train in the open courtyard. There's absolutely no internal discussion and zero negotiation. The bell rings and the physical response is entirely automatic. Marcus adopted this exact warrior mindset and aggressively wrote down every single excuse that had ever broken his discipline. He pre-solved every potential failure. If it rains, he trains inside the dusty garage. If house guests stay over, he executes a completely silent workout inside the locked bathroom. If he wakes up incredibly sick, he defaults to 2 modified push-ups, 1 minute of deep breathing, and reading 1 single page. Every disaster had a predetermined physical response. When scenario X happens, he immediately executes action Y. A leading behavioral psychologist from Yale University spent 20 years studying decision fatigue and discovered something fascinating. When you pre-decide your exact actions, you protect your prefrontal cortex. Your brain saves all its energy to simply execute the task rather than deciding what to do. By day 70, Marcus was operating entirely on biological autopilot. His physical body moved exactly like a finely tuned machine. On day 90, he finally completed his relentless 3-month protocol. But, as he crossed that massive finish line, he realized an even more terrifying truth. He had successfully built the perfect routine. But what happens when the routine completely takes over the man? This is the exact moment where self-improvement ends and a terrifying psychological mutation begins. When your daily discipline starts making average people feel uncomfortable, you're finally operating on an elite level. Your mere existence proves that everything they claim is impossible is actually just slightly uncomfortable. They'll call you obsessive. They'll tell you to find balance. They desperately need you to slow down so they can feel better about standing completely still. But you're no longer playing their weak average game. Musashi wrote that there is nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is generated from within. Marcus realized that true consistency is never about forcing yourself to do something every single day. It's about utterly destroying your old self and becoming someone who simply can't operate any other way. You do the hard work and you get better in silence. You stop being a person who merely tries and you finally become a person who just is. Implementing this absolute system of public declarations, fixed timelines, and pre-solved answers won't just build healthy new habits. It forces a complete death and rebirth of your human identity. When that profound transformation is fully complete, people will stare at you and wonder how you survive the grind. The answer is that you don't survive it, you embody it. But this leads us to the ultimate question. Are you actually ready to let your weak, inconsistent self die today? If this shift in perspective woke you up, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the strategies that will forge your unbreakable mind. Go down to the comments right now and type out your exact public declaration. Tell the whole world exactly what habit you're locking in today. Remember, the only consistency worth having is the kind that terrifies everyone else. Stay incredibly disciplined, and I will absolutely see you inside the next video.